YouTube. I ain't gonna do a lot of talking on extra stuff. We're gonna get right into it. What you see right here is me getting into combing his hair around. I really want to get it off his head a little bit. It was kind of laid down. Um, this method right here also helps to connect your waves. So what you do is, you want to find out where you want his cowlick to sit and everything, and make sure that it's right. Because by doing that, when you go through and cut, it's gonna cut smoother. I chose to go with a 1 3/4 on this cut because I think that a 1 1/2 is probably what is universal as the known waver length. But for me, I like the 1 3/4 a little bit better. And I like the two as well, just for those real wavers that got their hair under control. You can see that he takes pretty good care of his hair. So we going in with that now. If you pay attention, he's got a few spots that may be lighter than others. When I go over those, I usually tend to ride with the heel. You can kind of look and see. I try to hold as flat as possible. That helps to get the waves going. And as you can kind of see, I'm scraping it off and getting it going. Not really dragging on the back, just on the forward. And like I say, the harder you push, you really irritating your client more than anything. So you want to try to have a nice glide across the head. And once you really find your way of doing things, you'll see how it makes the waves come out and be able to put yourself in the best position. But making sure that you go from the heel and then put pressure on the front as know what the hair is like. You don't want to just cut through hair and just end up leaving little gaps and stuff like that. But you want to get as much accomplished as possible, and you want to be as smooth as possible within the process. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to also add a little bit of sheen to his hair and things once we get to that portion to help bring out the waves and things. So, keep that in mind too. So right now what I'm doing is just basically cleaning him off and things like that, making sure he's straight. Now what we getting ready to do is just brush through it. It's good to brush through after you've cut it because you get all that loose hair off of there, and makes the hair start to go into its natural pattern and lay down better. You want the hair to kind of stand up when you're cutting it, but now that it's cut, you want to go ahead and lay it back down so that you can kind of see what you're working with. And then what I'm going to do is just come back in with what would basically be the equivalent of the 1 1/2, but what I'm doing is I'm kind of using the heel a little bit more than what it looks like. I'm just really bringing it down. Like for me, I like to bring the hair down to a level and then pick something that I know is really, really good at smoothing it out. And that's what these Babyliss do. They smooth the hair down just like Wahl does. Wahl really like lays the hair to the head very well. Almost sometimes it cut out the wave, but as you can see, as I laid it down, you can see the waves are starting to stand out a little bit more. And that's because that extra step right there is kind of like cutting off the roach legs and things like that, or whatever you call them, but the little prickly hairs and stuff. So what I'm doing is using a little lower guide and then like really kind of hovering over the head, but still cutting. I didn't really press hard. You could, go ahead and just cut it down to that level too. I just like to keep a little bit of the fullness for the darkness of it and making sure that the waves kind of have their own little hump to them too. So here's what we got so far. We're pretty much getting into the process of the taper part. I start with my big guards. So for me, I'm gonna start with this 3. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 3 up until I start hitting those little waves at the bottom. Now I'm not trying to take them out, but what I am trying to do is smooth out that area. A lot of times it's chunky back there for people, bulky, whatever word you prefer, and you don't want to leave it bad, especially if like he doesn't have like the little roll or anything. So you definitely want to make sure that you take care of the taper on those guys. And the people with the roll in the back, you want to make sure you at least give the illusion of certain things taking place. But for the most part, you want to try to get that chunkiness out of the back, so that you don't leave it looking crazy. So, right now, like I said, we done leveled down some guards. Now I'm on to the 2. So basically, I'm still trying to get that little area to kind of lay down it may not lay down until we go with the grain, but it's good to have, a good rough draft, as I like to call it, going. When you are a barber that uses the guards in the way that I do, which is basically down fading, you got to kind of see it come together. For me, I don't have to go all the way down to the blade before I put the line in. I like to try to put the line in before I get all the way down to the blade. So I work it all the way down to a 16th. And the reason why I do that is because at the 16th level, I'm still able to get a pretty sharp line. So what I do is I put the line in, and then I'm able to go back and really place the fade, the ball to the 16th guard, that area, really place that in there where I want it to, because that to me is what kind of gives you fade placement in a lot of ways, or the appearance or the illusion of the fade placement. A lot of times I go up a little bit higher on my taper for wavers, not going over their waves, but going up high enough where their wave cap will meet the last wave and, have the taper. So to do that and still have darkness, you want that 1.5 vibe going in the back. But like I say, where you put that ball at is what's going to really kind of make your client feel a certain type of way about where their fade fits at, because that 1.5 will still be black if you're up a little bit higher. So you don't want to get carried away. Please do not use this with some type of discretion or thinking involved. But anyways, now we're into the line. On the line, right now I'm using those Rim Pros. You just want to keep your line, can't say straight, but that angle, we can talk angles all you want, but for me, it's like a hand placement. I guess it's a 30, 45 degree angle, either one. But when you see how I'm holding it like that, and you bring it straight on down. Some people go straight down, and that's fine. But to me, this is the way that the haircut is going to look the most uniform and have some continuity to it. I just feel like, you want your stuff to be symmetrical and things like that. And so when you go through and you have everything sitting at the same angle, and it's kind of like, drawing calligraphy. And so, when you draw the angles right, then comes out this beautiful system, and you see what you're trying to create. So that's kind of what I do. I bring it down so it comes together. It gets a little slightly slimmer towards the bottom. Just been the signature of my haircuts for a long time. May change it up, but right now it works for me. So right now what we're doing is what I talked about. We're going to the blade work. I do that last because you see how it's like it's all coming together now. You see it. You really get to come in and place it where you want it at. I got the 16th out doing a little touch-up work. Down fading is not ever going to be perfect first time around. You want to really get the rough draft out the way, not necessarily be sloppy. Please don't do that. Be very meticulous as you can be, but also understand that you don't have to overcut to achieve the cut that you need. What you need to do is have faith in your system, try your system, which means down fade, and go all the way through with it, step by step. And you want to make sure that, pretty much on every guard and blade, you're using the closed, halfway, and open, or the opposite direction, but using that system over and over. Right there is just a little touch up, just to really freshen it up. To get a good line, you want to touch the line as many times as possible without creating irritation. Now, I won't say as many times, but a good 2 to 3 times is not that bad, as long as you're not having clippers that are tearing people up by that. And by the time you get to the professional level, you should be able to kind of glide and not create irritation that way. So that's something you want to work on as your touch as a barber. You may be a hard-handed barber, which is fine, but you want to have some sort of touch to everything that you do, because you never know when you're digging into somebody. And if you're not the client, then you can't tell how hard you're actually cutting the person. So just get some touch. I want to apologize about some of this footage in here. It just didn't come out right. I got caught up in the cut and not the the angles and things, and I apologize for that. But at the end of the day, I seen the total process, and I felt like these clips that are not as clear as the other ones, there are some things that you'll still learn from it, and then when we pick back up with the clarity, it's all worth it. Like I say, for me as a barber, I'm trying to give the information to the people that need it, and for me, I value more of what a person has to say than like how awesomely dope their video is. The quality of the video doesn't always line up with the quality of the barber. So, but it's a total process. If you're a good barber, you should learn how to be a good video editor, I guess. But anyways, back to the subjects. Now, when we go to this line, for me, lineup wise, what I get into when I'm looking at it, I try to fill in the holes. I've tried a lot of different styles and different ways to achieve the front line, but I find that when you're dealing with people that have shaky lines, or if you're dealing with people that have good lines, most of the time it's always kind of straight except for that spot. I tend to deal with that spot first. If it's not, you got up and down. If, of course, if it's down, I can deal with it. But if it's up, I don't try to just recreate a whole new line. But at the same time, matching things up and filling in the voids first for me, to me, helps to create the best line. And like I say, your touch is everything. So right now, I'm putting in the line right now, and I haven't really tapered it yet. And the reason for that is because, and you've seen that I prepped the line, like, you gotta prep your lines, people, because once you prep the line, it's gonna help the visual of a straight line to be able to come through. What can happen is the front of your line can be bulky, in which you'll see some slight bulkiness in his line right now where it'll make it look wavy. But as you'll see, I'll keep going through and I'll keep touching it, and I'll keep finding those spots and getting better at pointing them out as the haircut progresses, and then that's how I do it. That's why I like the system that I have where the line comes first, because once you put the line in there and you got the taper in there, you start to see what little spots you need to go back and touch, and you got time to do it. So I tend not to get too caught up in being perfect the first time around. I try to meticulously go at the haircut step by step, phase by phase, and attack things as I see them. You got to use your eyes, your angles, step back from the chair, turn the chair, which this is very challenging to do while you're doing a video, which I found out the hard way. But I just want you to know that those techniques are what make me the barber that I am. So it's like I kind of do it without even doing it now, because I've done it so many times and I know what to look for. So, basically using your mirrors, looking back, all of those things are very helpful. Now, when it comes to the taper, it's the same taper that I always do. I'm not saying a whole lot about the technique because it's kind of blurry, and there's a spot where it's going to jump in and it's going to show you very clearly what I'm doing. But I use the down fade technique. No, actually, I apologize. On this one, I started with the blade open. Then I came through and did everything else. So I'll go open, and then I'll clean up the open with the closed and halfway, and not go past the line, which is what you see me doing right here. I went open. Now I'm going to come back and clean it up little by half, closed. There it went. And so now I'll probably pick up a 16th or an 1/8. 16th it was, and I'll come through and I'll start to blend that in. There's a lot of flicking going on right now. See, I didn't try to go up too far with that 16th. I knew that the 1/8 was the next level. I clear right into that. So that's like what you get better at as a barber, is how to clear over that bulk and still achieve the blend in the bulk. As long as you're using the right guards and they're in the right placement from halfway, from open to halfway to close, as long as it's in that right space, it's going to blend, and just flick it in there. So that's what you see right there. I'm not cutting at the length you think. I'm using my finger to actually like glide. So that's another speed trick I do. Sometimes when it's not coming out right, I use the corner and I use my finger to make a guard. And that's how I do it. So here is the absolute finished product. As you can see, the lines are crisp, the taper is in there, the waves are really in there. Making sure that you take the time out to cut the hair right and not go. You see, he has some light spots, but they don't look that light because I didn't damage them. Be careful, try to restore your spots, and those spots will grow in as time goes on. And his hair has gotten better and better with each haircut. So I'm very happy to, proud to be cutting his hair. And, you see he's a waiver and he's taking care of business on that end. And we got another complete cut. You know what I'm saying? You only as fresh as your last cut is my saying. Y'all really got to stay with me. Keep checking out the channel. Keep seeing the growth. Have a blessed one.